What's going on? Today we're going to talk about a Google Ads little known secret, and it's the Google Ads golden ratio. And it's something I coined a couple of years back. It kind of just dawned on me all at one time. And I want to go through how this ratio works, what it is, and how to apply it for your business if you're running a campaign for yourself. Or if you're out there as a freelancer or an agency owner or a salesperson selling Google Ads in market. So I want to show you first what the ratio is, talk about it, and then kind of give you a bunch of examples. So first, the golden ratio is it's the ratio of your average click cost in that market compared to your daily budget. Okay, so that ratio is super important. All right, and the reason being is if you can get enough clicks or have enough room in that ratio to get enough clicks per day to start getting a lead per day or leads per day, the campaign is going to move a lot easier. Whereas if that ratio is very tight, like a 1:2 ratio or something like that, or 1:3 maybe even, campaign's going to move. It's just going to move a lot slower because Google's not as likely to show your campaign because you just don't have the budget to be in market spending. So I'll give you some examples. Ideally, you want to be in a situation where you've got like a 1:4 ratio or a 1:5 ratio or a 1:10 or 1:20. Those ratios are good. 1:4 ratio allows you, assuming that your campaign, well, let me back up. Part of the reason why this ratio works so well is because it allows you to look at where you estimate your conversion rate is going to be based on your previous experience in that niche or in general, and kind of work backwards into a situation on how to produce leads per day or per week. All right, so roughly, if I say our conversion rate is roughly 20%, so that's 1 in 5 clicks produces a lead. That means if I have a 1:5 ratio in my campaign, I should be producing a lead per day out of the campaign. So that's how I like to look at things. I like to have a 1:5 as like a minimum ratio, 1:4 maybe as a minimum ratio. And some examples of this might be a $10 average click cost and a $50 a day budget. Okay, that's a 1:5 ratio. Another example of this ratio would be, let's say, a $25 average click cost, $100 a day budget. That's a 1:4 ratio. That's okay in most places. So 1:4, 1:5 are a healthy range to be in. Anything above that is awesome. That's gravy. All right, and how do you extrapolate that out at a bigger level to get to your monthly basis, or monthly budget, I should say? One thing to note, everything in Google Ads is based off of your daily budget, okay? We extrapolate it out to the monthly so everyone can wrap their heads around it from a strategy and from accounting perspective. Okay, so when I'm doing this for a new client, I'll go, whenever budget is of concern, I'm always doing Monday through Friday to start. I'm not adding in weekends unless they had the budget to support it. I'll never add in weekends and reduce that daily budget just to accommodate having the weekends in there. I'd rather have Monday through Friday with a higher daily budget than 7 days a week with a smaller budget. Does that make sense? I hope it does. If it doesn't, rewatch that part. All right, so how to quickly extrapolate out a budget. So in the example of a $10 average click cost, let's say I want to get to a 1:5 ratio. That's $50 a day. $50 a day times 4 weeks. That's roughly a $1K a month ad budget. Okay, that's how I arrive at these budgets quickly. If I needed to be at a $100 a day budget, 100 times 4 weeks, that's a $2K a month budget. So basically every $50 you add into that daily budget, if you're running Monday through Friday, equals another $1,000 on the back end. Okay, so that's how you can do these budgets quickly on the fly. 150 a day, 150 times 20, get you a 3K budget. 200 a day times 50 times 20, get you a 4K budget. And that's how you do them quickly. So that's typically my best practice recommendation for anybody if they ever have to come up with a budget on the fly, what a client's budget should be. Now, to go back to this golden ratio, why is this ratio so important? It's because no one's really strategic about what their ad budget should be. They just think, okay, I spent $500 on direct mail or $500 on a Facebook ad campaign or $500 on a cold call or whatever it is. So, hey, I'll try $500 with Google Ads. But the reality is that's not being strategic. That's not being where the market's at. That's just you thinking this is what I spent and this is what I'm going to spend here. In some instances, that's okay. And sometimes you've got to do the best you can with what you've got. But the reality is if you're strategic about it and actually use what the market's data is to come up with a budget, you're in a much better situation in running a campaign. So what I would recommend is using a tool called, actually, I didn't even finish my part yet. My point on that. The reason why the golden ratio is so important is because if you have that ratio right, so anything above, let's say 1 in 3, 1 in 4, 1 in 5 plus, whenever you have that ratio right, it means your campaign is going to move. It's going to start producing leads, and leads quickly typically, assuming that your page is going to convert the traffic. If you go below that ratio, your campaign is going to get a lead every other day, every third day, every fourth day, and things just move a lot slower because Google is constricting how much impression share you're going to get, meaning how many times your ads are actually viewed in market. I always liken this to clients like driving with the gas and the brake on at the same time. It's just a herky stop and go, herky-jerky ride. You get there eventually. It's just a miserable ride. Everyone's back hurts. They just want to get out of the car. In some instances, I'd rather just not run that client's campaign and have them hold off and come back a month or two later when they have a more market appropriate budget. However, having said that, sometimes a small budget is what it is, and the client is willing to. There's some instances where your management fee is more than the ad budget, and in those cases, I typically only take them on if the client's got large lifetime value or large transaction value, something where they're going to be getting a lot of money from that potential lead over the lifetime of the relationship, or it's a really large transaction, let's say like a commercial roof, for example, which would be 5 to 6 figures, even 7 figures for that. Okay, so in an instance like that, it'd be okay. But an instance where it's like a one-off, like one of the examples I did was duct cleaning. Let's say it's $150 duct cleaning. You've got to be careful on that. Unless it's a recurring client or a commercial client, you've just got to think in terms of what's best for the client. Sometimes you do need the volume of leads rolling through in order for it to make sense. So, all right, that's why I love the golden ratio. It really helps loosen things up in a campaign, get a campaign flowing, get the data going through it, getting leads into the business. And again, that's what we specialize here. It's lead generation. So you can also apply this towards an e-commerce or a shopping campaign. You're going to need to loosen that ratio up a lot more because you're going to need way more clicks to produce a sale than you are lead clicks to get a lead. Okay, so just think about that. You know what? I haven't even introduced myself. This is Ed here from ClicksGeek. We're a PPC agency. We're a Google Premier Partner Agency. I'm going to drop a link in the description to our website, to our white label PPC page. If you're the owner of a business and you want us to do it directly for you as well, there'll be a link in there for that. We sell a bunch of Google Ads courses, landing page courses, an agency course, all that good stuff. Links below. Let's go through some examples of how I would apply the golden ratio to a prospective client to help them come up with a budget that's market appropriate for them. Okay, so I threw in Party Bus Boston. So real quick, I'm using a tool here called Keywords Everywhere. It's a free plugin to download, and then you buy credits in it. The credits are dirt cheap. I want to say actually, I don't even know what they are. They're dirt cheap though. Yeah, $10 gets you 100,000 credits. I think I put $100 in here last year, and I haven't touched it since. If you're an owner, a freelancer, an agency owner, and you're in this space, and this is what you do for a living, get the free plugin, spend $100, spend $50, spend $10, and start using this tool. It's so easy to use, and in my opinion, I think it's a little easier to use than the keyword planner. All right, so this is the plugin that allows me to get all this information and then also this information down the side as well. So if I wanted to look at what the search volume is for this kind of stuff, I just click here and it gives me search volumes on that kind of stuff. And it'll give me estimated CPCs as well. The thing with it though is when you're talking local business stuff, you've got to Geo Modify it in order to get something specific for that market. So Party Bus Boston as opposed to Party Bus Providence. Okay, so yep, so here you go. That shows the difference in price. So I always Geo Modify it when I'm doing this stuff. Okay, so let's go back to Boston as the example. All right, so roughly a $5 click cost. Okay, so 5 times 5 is 25 bucks a day. And then 25 times your 20 days, it's roughly a $500 a month ad budget. That's an okay starting place to be for a limo client. Ideally, I'd love to be at $50 a day, Monday through Friday. It's $1,000 a month. Obviously, the more you go, the higher in this ratio you go, the faster this thing is going to start moving. The nice thing about party buses versus, say, a limo is the deal sizes are a lot larger. So that's why I picked the party bus as an example. If you are in the limo space, one thing to note is a huge segment of the limo industry is actually airport transportation. So those deals are, they're smaller rates to and from the airport. If they understand client lifetime value and can retain that customer long term, then it makes sense for them, and it's a very good way to acquire new business. If they're very transactional and are just after that one deal to make a killer ROI, it's going to be a tougher campaign to run. A little bit of a side note there. Sorry. All right, so that's how I would do it for a party bus roofing client. So let's say this is $26.80. Let's just say, just for ease of math here, it's 25 bucks a click. What I would do is take 25 and times it by 4. That gives me 100 bucks a day. You could also go 3. That's 75 bucks a day. You can go higher, get up to say 150 or 200 bucks a day. That's how you'd have to look at this. But just for quick and dirty, I'd go 25 times 4 times 20. That gives me roughly a $2K a month ad budget. And that's how I would come up with a market appropriate minimum viable budget for this client. Obviously, again, the higher the daily budget you can go, the faster this thing is going to keep moving. The more data you get rolling through the campaign, the easier this gets to manage. All right, here's a family lawyer in Albuquerque, 20 bucks a click. I'd go 20 times 4, that's 80 bucks a day. So for this instance, I'd probably go with 100 bucks a day. I'd go 100 times 5 times 4. That's a 2K a month ad budget client. That's running Monday through Friday, 100 bucks a day. Whenever I see 80, I just bump it up to 100. You could go down to 75 if you had to. Just kind of giving you guys some ranges of how I come up with budgets on the fly. Literally, I don't go into Google Planner to do any of this stuff. I've sold over 1,000 Google Ads accounts in my career, and we're a Google Premier partner, and this is our best practice. This is how we do it. Here's a duct cleaning client in Tampa. All right, so this is 11 bucks. I'm just going to go down to 10 for ease of math here. So 10 times 4, 10 times 5. In this instance, I'd go 50 bucks a day. 50 bucks a day, Monday through Friday, over the course of the month, 1K a month ad budget. Keeping in mind, I'm saying estimated because not every month has 4 weeks. Not every month has the same number of Monday through Fridays. So not every month has the same number of advertising days. Technically, there's 4.3 weeks in every month. So just account for that. That's why I say estimate. Okay, so 10 times 5, that's 50. You could go 10 times 4 and do an 800 a month. But I'm just giving you, this is how we do it. All right, it doesn't have to be end all be all, but this is how, when I'm put on the spot and I need an ad budget quickly, I can bang these out all day. All right, next one, water damage Miami. Big dog here. This is a big spender. All right, so let's say it's 70 bucks a click. Okay, 70. I've got to break out my calendar here, guys, because it's going to be a little bit higher than I want to give you an appropriate range. So 70 times 4, I'll go with 4 on this one, times 70 times 4 times 5, 70 times 4 times 5 times 4. That's a $5,600 a month ad budget. In this instance, I don't think you really need to go that high. What I'd recommend is probably 4K a month. That's a $200 a day budget, because I know I'm also not going to be spending 68 bucks on all the clicks. So in this instance, and this is me just with market experience, I would say 4K is a good budget to be at, and that's 200 bucks a day, Monday through Friday over the course of the month. And with that, you should be producing a lead maybe every day, maybe every other day, somewhere in that range. It just depends on where that actual click cost shakes out to be. You could certainly go higher, but what you're going to find is most clients' appetite is going to be lower the higher you go. Especially if they've never used Google Ads before. So in that instance, I'd probably go with a a 4K recommended budget, because water damage, mold, fire, their deal sizes can be very, very large. So they don't need a ton of deals to get an ROI, a very, very good ROI. Example, we had a client in the water damage space. It was water and mold, and got a lead the first week. It was a 40K deal. So how happy do you think that person was? So that just gives you a higher end range of how to look at these things. And now, this is not an end all be all. I'm going to get flack in the comments, I'm sure, from somebody that doesn't like this golden ratio that I came up with. I don't care. This is how we do it here. I hope this helps. This is probably one of the most frequently asked questions we get. And we do have a video on Google Ads budget. What should my Google Ads budget be? And we kind of run through something very similar to this. But I wanted to make another video and go through some live examples of what this looks like in the wild. And again, if you guys are freelancers, agency owners, selling this stuff, marketing consultant, even a business owner, and you want this kind of data, just grab the Keywords Everywhere tool. It's free, and buy $10 worth of these credits. These things last forever. Not really, but really long time. All right, it's really helpful. I hope this helps. If you guys have any questions, just hit me up and we'll go from there. All right, I'll put some links in the description for you guys to take a look at. I hope this was helpful. I'm starting to lose my voice here. That's it for today. Ed here from ClicksGeek. I hope you all are doing well, and that's it. Take care. Bye.